did it go? Hold on. There it is. All right. So some of you who are on Slack with us may have seen a call for filling out this survey. And if you didn't, then Jared's going to tell you about that. Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah. So I'm in a Google survey. The idea is to share some information about yourself without telling us who you are and who you work for. And we're hoping to kind of get a feel what the developer community is like here in Chattanooga, and then share that data with you guys without compromising any identities. So kind of think of it as Glassdoor on an individual local basis. So
what kind of information are you collecting?
Things like salary, number of hours you work a week, vacation time you get, some silly stuff like if you were given a Model S Tesla, would you take it? Some other stuff like that, and just trying to see what sort of interesting data points you can pull out of that data set. So.
And is the data going to be available to everybody after you're done?
That is not the plan. I think I'm worried about giving the raw data set out to everyone.
Right.
For like safety mining reasons. Like, what's that?
A summary would be good.
Yeah, so I want to make like a infographic web page that you guys can go to and see like here's all the data, and it's pretty and it's made of charts. So
There you go.
That's it. So check it out.
Yeah, it's that address there. You can go to chawdev.com launch slides. Probably easier just to type in bit.do/chawdev survey though. So do that.
Just don't tell me that you want it.
Yeah, and then you can't know because it's probably how many people have done it so far?
About 8.
Yeah, I'm one of those. So now you know. Why don't you come on up and tell us about where we're at today?
I will. Welcome to Society of Works. This is very large. If you didn't know, my name is Mary, and I'm the community manager here. And we are a co-working space that offers month-to-month memberships for people who are building something. So whatever you may be building, whether you're a startup company, maybe you're a freelancer, remote worker, small team, we want to be the space that supports you and that helps you focus on what you're building and take care of everything else. So if you would like a tour of our space, if this is your first time here, you want to learn more, I'll be over by the kitchen counter afterwards. But just want to say welcome to Chawdev. I'm glad y'all are here today.
Thanks, Mary. All right, well, if you didn't know where you're at, you do now. Chawdev Lunch. Welcome. Partners, Open Table, and you know the rest of our sponsors by heart, I hope. Let's show Open Table some love. I think we did them last week, but hey, double header. So pull out your phones, give them a tweet. It's really helpful for us to be able to provide different metrics to our sponsors just so they can have something tangible for, providing more pizza every week. It's a lovely thing. Lovely exchange. Hit us up on social medias. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Meetup, of course. If you didn't register, join us on Meetup, RSVP to the event so we can get a good count on the pizzas. Let's see what else is going on. Andrew, aka Ace Drew, is running a Humans of Chawdev series on Instagram, so that's kind of cool. Get to sort of learn some stuff about your fellow cohorts or not. I think it's mostly just jokes right now. So, not your normal Humans of New York stuff. Meetups. Our newest one, I think, is the Chattanooga Data Science Meetup. So you can go to this slide here at chawdev.com/lunch slides and click on any of these links. It'll take you to their respective meetup pages where you can get more information about them. We did that. Don't forget, do that. And hit us up on Slack if you're not on there with us already. You can go to where it says register, drop your email in, you'll get an email, and you can come hang out. If IRC is your jam, then you can hit us up here. Job board. Today is job time. Job time. Job time is a time where we invite members of our community to come up and sort of give a quick elevator pitch about the kind of work that they're looking to do or looking for. So if you have something, you should stand up now and give a shout out. Anybody? I think we've had somebody do this once. Stand up. Maybe we should have like a sign-up form or something. Make people feel less on the spot. All right. There's the slides. You know where to get them. And so Rodger came to me. Did I come to you or did you come to me about this?
We kind of met in the middle.
We met in the middle.
Sure. Compliments.
Yeah, Rodger was like, hey, I'll do a presentation on Jekyll, and I was like, that'll be a good idea. And that's the story. It's pretty simple. So Rodger is CTO of Woople, a company here in town, and he's going to talk to you a little bit about static site generation. Rodger, round of applause.
Thanks everyone for coming. It's been a while since I've done a talk, but for those of you who haven't heard one of my talks before, I get motivated to do a speech usually when some kind of technology annoys me. And that means that Jekyll is actually going to be kind of a short talk. So, but I like to cover the points of pain when there's always like, well, I should have known X from the beginning if I'd known that. It would have been, saved me a lot of time. So, also the other motivation for using Jekyll was I don't want to have to use WordPress to make a site. Is what you always hear, especially from anyone non-technical that comes up to you, is like, oh, I know WordPress. Can you throw a template up? Like, well, yes, I can, but I'm going to forget about it in 6 months, and then your site's going to change when some security patch comes out that we both forgot about. So to save myself all that trouble and jump into static site generation. So Jekyll, the top two quotes are from Jekyll's website. It said, transform your plain text into static websites and blogs. I'm not sure what that means. I wasn't sure what blogware meant either. So I hope to clarify both of those up. So my take on it is Jekyll's a Ruby-based static site generator. So if I want to if I have something that's not changing a lot or something that I need to load like really fast, then this is probably going to be my go-to tool from here on out. So one of the things that you'd run into with static site is it's probably a marketing site, or it's probably have something that you want to A/B test. The fact that it's static doesn't prevent you from changing text. There's a lot of tools that let you do that. For example, Optimizely. So you kind of inject a little bit of JavaScript into your page and like which button text or color is more likely to be clicked on. So static site doesn't necessarily mean like it can't, nothing about it can change. The other thing I'd like to say about after picking on the 800-pound gorilla, WordPress is really good about having like permissions. So let's say I write a blog article and someone else has to verify it. How do I do that without some kind of like with like a static site? And the answer is if you're starting to go down the road where you're going to need that kind of thing, this becomes not the tool. And last but not least, do I really need a database? Do I really need yet another database? I say nay. All right, so I just learned that Shahdev is actually one of the sites that's using Jekyll. I think the main pull of this is if you go to, like if I just want a GitHub page, like if I want a project page or like my personal page, I literally have to create a project that's my GitHub username.github.io. And I create a new Jekyll site, and I go there, and there's and like it's really well integrated into GitHub. It understands to generate the site and serve that site for me out of that URL. And I know healthcare.gov was using it at some point. I assume that wasn't the parts of the site that was crashing all the time when they first released. And I just wanted to show a quick example here of, let's see. So this is like a GitHub project page. It's kind of small. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit. See, it doesn't have that GitHub look. Like it is its own separate site. And plenty more sites made of it. The list is actually quite large. I did mention that this is a Ruby gem. So if you don't develop Ruby on a daily basis, this is the you wish you knew before you got into it. There's a big debate on RB-ENV versus RVM. I use RB-ENV. That seems to be winning. I think I'm going to be struck by lightning for saying that. Doesn't matter. No, I will be struck by lightning for the second one, which is if you are in Windows, Ruby installer and Rail installers both work really well. Having said that, Ruby development on Windows is typically painful. So if you don't have to, don't. I don't see a whole lot of Mac. I don't see a whole lot of Windows books anyway, especially at Hack Night. It's typically Macs, but you might live in this bubble to where it's like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of guys that do other stuff all day. You should say hi to them. So optionally, well, Gem's not optional, but like Bundler is. So if I make a Ruby project, I have a bunch of dependencies. Gem and Bundler help me manage those dependencies, which is typically see in the root directory of a project is a gem file, and that has a list of everything related to the project that I need. And there's a gemfile.lock, which is not the. It's a much larger file that has all the specific versions of it. So like in gemfile, I might say, well, I need something that's compatible with version 2 of this, and I need another gem that has like needs to be 2.5, and like Bundler smart enough to say, okay, well, this is the version you need, and these are all the dependencies. So it's a confusing file, but don't worry about that too much. Most of it's handled for you under the hood. All right. The making a new Jekyll site is pretty simple. Jekyll new, name your site. And now I'm going to pull up a site that I created earlier. That's all I did was this, and just poke through the file structure a little bit. All right. Every website's going to have some kind of default page. This is, I'm going to serve this. I can make, let's see. Jekyll serve is the command to serve the website in the folder that you're in.
Can you make the text larger?
Plus that mess.
Well, this is mainly output, but sorry about that. I do have Atom enlarged, so. Let's see. All right. That's it. Like this is what you get out of the box. You get a default blog post. You get an about page. The about page is actually in Markdown, as Jekyll understands a couple things for you out of the box. One's Markdown, SAS now, and for the data files, it understands YAML and CSV. So I'll get into the file that's generating that. So this is the index that we're not looking at. There. This is the index that we're looking at. That template language is, we'll get to that in a second. It's based on something that Shopify did. It's pretty simple. But it will, it's populating, Jekyll is populating the posts from my file structure. So I have a post folder here, and there's one default blog post. And like if sites.post populates with the blog post. There's a couple of these variables that you get out of the box. That's just one of them. What you notice is, this is, how am I supposed to know to make these posts? Well, there's a date, and then there's the post title, and it kind of knows what to do. And that's not something that I want to hand over to someone that's not a coder. So there is, one other thing. If you're making a post, it goes in underscore draft, and if it's live, it goes in underscore post. Again, more proof that like this is somewhat complicated, just to remember, especially if you're having to explain it to someone that just wants to create a post. I found a tool called Pros.io, and it uses your GitHub authentication. So you create an organization and then add the people who wanted to edit the site to that organization, and you get the ability to edit files right out of your GitHub account. So if I go into posts, again, it is aware of what Jekyll is. So if I create a new file here, now what I get is a markdown editor. And it knows to make this file name. And I'll have to save that. And that's my commit message. That's all there is to that. Okay, so next. As I mentioned earlier, Liquid was the name of the templating language that Jekyll uses. It's pretty simple. If I want control structures, I put the percentages around it, and if I just want to output whatever, it's just double curly braces. It's pretty powerful. Another thing that comes up, if I'm doing a marketing website, someone's going to want, hey, register for this newsletter, or whatever. I'm going to have a form that needs to collect some kind of data. This is outside the realm of what you would do. Question?
Yeah, what's Markdown?
Oh, yes. This is going to be really biased. Markdown is slightly better than HTML, but not as good as Microsoft Word if you don't know HTML. Answer, yeah? Make sense? No.
There's a Markdown format language that was designed to be human readable from the ground up.
Yes.
Outputs HTML, like SAS outputs CSS.
Or it can output whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the correct
It's a
answer.
text file with .md at the end.
That too.
And it's a special syntax that you throw hashes in on to create headers and whatnot.
And sometimes .markdown. I've seen that too.
So why would somebody prefer Markdown over just a text file?
I want my text formatted somehow.
Right.
So I'm doing HTML or CSS or LaTeX, making a PDF. There's a lot of ways to do that. Markdown is just one of the many ways. But the fact that it's text and it's kind of easier to read out of the box is kind of what its strong suit is. All right. So there are a couple services that Jekyll mentions. FormKeep is one of them. I looked at how it was using. It's literally just you put a form tag in, and it submits, and then it redirects back to your page. You can do that without the plugin. But if you're inclined, you can use that service as well.
Does it redirect to their URL?
I haven't looked at it a whole lot, but would assume I would assume there's a way to configure it on the back end thing. When I submit, go back here, because that's where I want to be. Probably like my thank you for submitting page. All right. So jittering a static page means doing a lot of work before the page comes out. So there is a fairly robust plugin system that Jekyll has. And so literally you drop any Ruby file you want in the plugins folder, and it's plugin/whatever.rb. There's been a lot of talk in the JavaScript community around isomorphic JavaScript, and I was trying to think about what that means in terms of a static site. Basically, what I came up with was I have a page I'm generating. It's probably going to have a layout and then a bunch of stuff that goes in the middle. And when someone's coming to my page, I want to serve all that together. But if I go to the next page, I probably just want to load just the stuff that's in the middle. And doing that, I didn't see a way to do that out of the box. Like, you have to make your own generator, which is kind of beyond the scope of what I wanted to get into today. But that is something I will be doing for the new Woople website, which will hopefully be coming out sometime next week. And here's gem files coming up again. Jekyll's page says there's 3 ways to add gems. One is in the config YAML. If I'm at all familiar with the Ruby community and you require a gem that's not in the gem file, I'm not going to understand. Unless I just happen to know this project, so don't put it there. I don't really even know why that's an option. There might be, I'm just not sure why. Let's see. Now I wanted to get into pulling data. As you saw earlier, there was some magic happening. I'm going to go back to the index file of the static page. What you're seeing is post is populated by, like, just because Jekyll knows there's supposed to be a post folder that it pulls from. Well, there is also a folder that doesn't get created when you just do Jekyll new, but it is there if you kind of dig through the docs. That's the _data folder. As I mentioned, there are 2 data formats that just work right out of the box. One's YAML and the other's CSV. And this is a little more of the markdown of how you would use site. I believe that is, yes, site.data. My bad. So that data variable gets populated with whatever data is in there. Now the plugins load first. When you are generating Jekyll, it says, okay, well, I'm going to go and load the plugins and then run all that. And then all that, any data that you need, sorry, question.
So it loads the data before it loads your plugins?
Yeah, let me back up and start over again. Step 1 is load the plugins, and then step 2 is generate. So if your plugin, let's say I want some kind of simple data. I have an example for this I'll get to in a second. Let's say I want some kind of JSON response that I'm going to generate a static page out of. Well, all I did was I made a plugin that just runs some code that dumps out into a YAML file, and then my template picks that file up and generates that. Does that answer your question?
I was also going to ask, so by default it allows YAML and CSV. Is JSON something you can add?
There's a lot of plugins, I'm pretty sure, that literally, like, and if you're doing Ruby, it's hash is pretty much your native data format for whatever. It's very easy to go from JSON to YAML. There's literally, it's .2 YAML, and you can output it that way. I think it's a little easier to read too. So I'll get to that example. I pulled the weather, and I'm going to display that in Kelvin because that's how the service returns it. Yes, it's great. I'm just serving. Yeah, sort of in the way a little bit. Right. All I'm doing is typing Jekyll serve in the root directory. And now when I refresh, I should be getting a different site. Now, that's the weather at the time I generated this page. Now, I'll get into the code and show how that weather is getting onto the page. And in the weather project, so this is the plugins folder and weather.rb. And just there's 3 requires. It's just I need to pull data from that. I need to deal with JSON and I need to output it to YAML. That's all that top stuff means. So I'm pulling from an open weather map to get the JSON, and then I'm parsing it, and then I'm writing it out to the data.weather file. And there's a call.tyaml I mentioned earlier. And that's in here. Now that's YAML if you've never seen it before. It's kind of JSON without the curly braces. And now the index page. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there's my data variable .weather.main.temp. It's kind of nested in there, but there it is. And if I wanted to convert it from Kelvin, again, I tried. You cannot do like arithmetic operators in here. You'd have to do that in the Ruby file. I tried it, just ended up printing nothing. Little JavaScript, yeah. And of course, with any kind of static site, it's like, well, I could embed a JavaScript file and do whatever I need to with JavaScript. But part of the point, I think, of having a site like this is it's not going to change often. Also, you want to deliver the content to your user fairly fast, so you don't want to wait for the page delivery, then your JavaScript to load, and then whatever content that you want to load. And one more small note for deployment. If you run Jekyll serve, it'll serve out of the site folder, but you can configure that in the config.yaml. There's not really a way to do like multiple environments. Like let's say I have like a test site with some variables. So kind of what I'm recommending is handle that with like your command line output and do it that way. So now you get your output and you can put it on S3 or commit to GitHub and you're done. Your site's live. So that's all I've got for you today. Any questions?
I was playing around with Jekyll to consider using it for a client blog site, site like blogware, and imagine I would be able to use like a lot of iframe sort of embeds, videos and maps and things like that. I mean, at least in the markup, it didn't display iframe embeds. And I googled around. I'm sure there's a solution, but but I spent an hour or two on it to find it. So I was wondering if you do it, a solution to put like YouTube video embedded or like a Google Map embedded, something like that. That'd be really easy to serve up.
You just like typing that iframe tag, or I mean, with respect to Liquid. Okay.
It should just work. Like any HTML should just work. Like,
Yeah.
I used it before.
I'm not sure why. I'd be happy to take a look at that and see if I can figure it out. But it should just work.
I was doing a lot about HTML and Markdown, but like for some reason iframe would not. Like, it would even show up like with a box on the website, like video would play, like things that we're talking about.
Kind of interesting. I mean, the way if I were doing that for a client and I wanted all the videos to kind of have a similar style and be able to control that, that's something you would probably put into a plugin and just have like your own tag you would have, and put the video ID for YouTube in there, and then have it generate all the code for you and do that in the compilation process.
That's a good answer. Yeah.
But it still should just work. Kind of like same way a WordPress does that actually. I think you kind of expand out put in a tag. Yeah, you can control that process.
Yeah. There's a special class that you have to inherit from that, and then there's like a method you have to overload. But it's,
I wrote
yeah.
a plugin because one of the weird things it won't do is allow you to query, like if you want to have a page of posts that have a specific tag, you cannot do arbitrary tag queries and build a page of post that are not tags that are standard, or not tags, sorry, metadata that are not tags. They do tags.
Gotcha.
So I wrote a plugin just to go through at the very beginning, which works for small sites. It would probably be terrible on a larger site. You probably shouldn't use it this morning, right? But
Right.
It basically goes through all the posts, collects all the metadata, and allows you to query, cross-query across all of it for a specific project. But it's kind of one of the weaknesses if you're going to have like various, especially if it's a product site or something where you have different collections and you want to have different metadata and organized by all that stuff. So it was a weakness.
Yeah, and do what you can. If you can't do it in the markup, do what you can in the plugin. And
then the other thing that I would add is kind of a neat or a way to use it that we do with the Shadow site is if you do have to do JavaScript, you can make any of the markdown files or collections of posts generate JSON, and by using just a template that generates JSON, and so then you can actually load up stuff that you're using the normal interface because we use GitHub for
Yeah.
people to submit their stuff, and that actually gets compiled in a JSON file and loaded via front-end JavaScript.
no, that's a really good point. If you wanted to output something that's not HTML, you can still do that.
Yeah.
As we live in the world of, well, that's your markup's great, but just give me the data, and then I'll do with it what I will. Yeah.
Did you show the
Right.
web page?
Oh, yes. I didn't change the look of it a lot, so there it is. At time of generation. Yeah, it's real fancy. It's completely useless, but it is an example of how to get data on the page. Anything else? Yes, sir.
So, other than pointing to GitHub, where else did you deploy this to? Something S3 or Roku, or what are you talking about?
Yeah, S3 is my favorite place to serve static files out of.
It's all static, so any post, like any just web server will run it. It's just, it compiles to just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Yeah, and just to clarify what I mean by static is, if I go to a web page and my database is down, I'm not going to see anything for most sites, right? But I don't want to do all that just for some simple HTML. So it's like drop my index.html and my other files here, and then let them handle hosting it out.
So you don't have to run Jekyll serve on the host?
No. So what Jekyll serve does is it's the development server. It watches for changes to my local files, and then if it sees one, it generates a new version of the site into the site directory, which is the default output location. And you would take that site output and then put that wherever you wanted.
Like all the logic you're seeing, like if you have 100 blog posts and you're saying loop through all my blog posts, like the output of HTML is going to literally grab all those 100 blog posts and put it in that HTML file, like flat.
Yeah, there is pagination on lists. Yeah, that's one of the things that was built in the template. Because yeah, it's like that's great. Now I've got 100 blog posts. Anything else? Well, thank you for coming out.